All right, welcome today to TiffDoesLoans Podcast. I have special guest Alvin Scioneaux.
Hello. Yes.
With us today. He is a master real estate investor and has quite the resume. Just a ton of different things and an amazing story, which I have heard him speak before, which is why I have invited him here today. So why don't we just get started and tell us a little bit about your story and what kind of led you to real estate?
So thank you for having me. It definitely was a pleasure. So my story, as you mentioned, is kind of all over the place. Originally from New Orleans, Louisiana area. Grew up there, third of 8 kids. So a really big family, expensive family.
Yeah.
a lot of mouths to feed, right?
Yeah.
But growing up, though, my parents, they kind of went from 0 properties up to 25 plus right now. So all of my young life, I watched them just every couple of years, we will move into a property and then they would move and rent out the previous property. Yep. And they just did that every 2-3 years. And it definitely showed early on the power of real estate, having someone come knock on the door and I got some rent for you. And watching that as a kid, people bringing money to the door, dropping it off, like, oh yes, I think I can get used to that, right? So it was enjoying to see that journey from my parents growing their portfolio, and it definitely planted that seed, So going from there, went on to in South Carolina, Wofford College. Studied physics and math in undergrad, and was also played football. So got an athletic scholarship to Wofford College in South Carolina. Had a lot of success there. Ended up being an All-American athlete, and that transitioned me to play with the Chargers. Got picked up with the Chargers, played with them in the NFL, and that's what brought me to Cali, sunny California. And 2014, 2015, played with them, but the NFL is definitely a aggressive and rough sport, right? So I ended up tearing my ACL. Unfortunately, it was definitely a difficult time, but I enjoyed the moment. I made the most of it. Still transitioned to getting my master's at San Diego State in mechanical engineering, and worked as an aerospace engineer for about 8 years, various different Fortune 100 engineering companies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon Technologies. We did some NASA spacecrafts and rocket ship related work. So it was great. And on the side, I was investing in real estate. I acquired a few properties out here in LA until eventually I hit my freedom number. They call it, just passive income, building passive incomes to where I didn't have to work anymore. And I went full-time in real estate after that. Got my real estate license, able to represent people on transactional side, and then also on the investing side, doing some syndications, doing some fix and flip properties as well. So I kind of dabbled all within real estate to focus on real estate, because before I was doing modeling, acting, engineering, real estate, coaching, speaking. I was doing a lot of things, right? But my mentors, a lot of mentors were telling me you need to focus. So I went all in on real estate, and has been great thus far.
Well, I feel like you definitely chose the right one, because definitely now also I've seen that you're helping other athletes kind of get into that full time. So super incredible. How was that transition? What was that kind of process for you to, kind of go from full-time athlete to now in real estate, or just trying to kind of figure out what you were going to do next?
It was definitely a rough transition. Very, very rarely are you great at something the first time you try it, right? So after football, it was like, okay, what now? After the Chargers, I did 1 year in Canada with Edmonton Elks, and I was supposed to go back to the CFL that following year, but I was kind of weighing my options, and I know as an engineer, you can still make good money, right? And then you don't have to get injured. I told my my ACL I mentioned, I also had shoulder, my labrum, I tore that, had surgery on that as well.
On both, like during that year?
Different times, but those were the two surgeries I had playing football. So in my mind, I'm thinking I can do engineering, work on high classified related aspects, high technology equipment, and still make good money and not get injured.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me try this option, right? Yeah. So that's what really prompted me to go into the post football, and that was a transition, right? Because I'm used to being an athlete, making my own schedule, kind of having a little bit more free time. Now it's the corporate world, 9 to 5. This is what we're doing. You got to ask for a raise and all these different things. So that was a transition, and also I had a physics degree, so I couldn't even get an engineering job. I had to have an engineering degree. So that's why I went back to get my master's in engineering. So that was a whole transition. And then again, making another transition, leaving the engineering world, going into real estate. So I would say one of the main aspects that I really thought about during these transition times was time will pass either way, right? So we can either soak in our position and just stay complacent in what we're doing, or we can progress while time is passing. Yeah. Because time's going to pass either way. The worst thing that can happen is 5 years pass, 10 years pass, and you're still in the same place.
And still stuck in almost like what could have been, right, or what should have been.
Right.
So definitely, I do kind of share that with you, where it's like even if you're not very happy about it, or like, okay, just keep moving, like something will kind of come to you. So absolutely, seems like you kind of dabbled around, and I mean, definitely amazing story just for that whole transition to kind of not give up. We are going to get to more of that and saving that for later. All that mindset talk.
Yes. That's foundational. It's foundational.
Yes, absolutely. And so for these, for the athletes, how did that kind of flourish? Now you helping other athletes that are maybe done or maybe injured, do you help them now that you've been in so many different things? Is it just real estate, or do you kind of help them figure out what they want to do now that you've kind of dabbled? Yes.
It's so the main thing, the first thing is just putting your money to work, right? Yeah. We see on ESPN the $100 million contracts, which that's really a handful of people are getting those type of contracts. The large majority of people are getting 1, 2, 5, maybe 10 $1 million contracts. Rookies, they're not making anywhere near those numbers. So just being able to know where your money is going, being held responsible for your financial future, it is real easy to get caught up in financial advisor just putting your money in some random place, and they're collecting a percentage off of that regardless, right? If it grows or not. So just taking more responsibility, spreading that awareness, social media, putting out content, education. I'm real big on that. That's foundational. So that's probably the first and foremost aspect when it comes to working with athletes.
Kind of helping them build that foundation.
That foundational knowledge, right? That for their financial literacy and putting their money to work, knowing where your money is going.
And then how do you help them find the deals as well?
Yeah, so when I come across deals, either they can partner with me or also sending deals out to investors. If it's something if I come across something and it's something that they want to invest in, being able to just help them buy it or sell it to them as well. Nice.
And so when you are searching for your next properties, how do you pick the most promising areas? What things do you look for? And then we'll kind of get into which niche that you kind of leaned into the most.
Yes. So there's 3 phases or aspects of investing within real estate. You have your operator, which can be yourself or other people you partner with or work with. There is the market, which the economy more holistic standpoint from a macro scale, and then there's the actual deal itself, the house. A lot of people think they want to focus on the house, but that's something I look at last.
Yeah.
The first and foremost thing that I look at is the operator, which for my own deals is me, right? But understanding my knowledge, understanding my history, my experience. If I'm partnering with someone, understanding their history and experience, that what they have been doing. And then I kind of reel it back into, the market. I invest in Southern California, specifically because I'm physically here.
Yep.
And then I also invest in the Sun Belt, so Texas, Louisiana, and then also a little bit in the Midwest in Nebraska. And then from there, the last piece is the deal. So that's the last piece. I want it to cash flow, and I want to make sure there's some type of upside appreciation or some sweat equity that can be created with the property.
And then when you go, so how did you kind of pick those states or like those markets? Like how were you kind of drawn to, and do you stay specifically in those Louisiana, Texas, and
California, Nebraska?
California and Nebraska.
So the main driver for those states is, once again, the operator. So I know people have family and partners in all of those markets. That was the first thing. So that kind of covered the operator and the market side of it, and then the third phase was just looking at specific deals. So, so for me, whenever I invest out of state, I need to have a very good relationship with the partner or whoever is local in that market, and if I have that relationship, trust, and understanding of their skill set, then we can look more specifically at deals to see which one works best.
And then also, since you are in like different markets, and I believe you do dabble in different like niches, maybe fix and flips, different strategies. How do you choose like which area? Do you have a specific area that like maybe Texas, you only do like the multi? Nebraska, I believe you have.
Yeah, Nebraska have some multifamily there. Yeah. So there's no strategy that's specific to each area. It really just depends on, so that really depends on the deal.
Okay.
Which exit strategy we're going to use. So in Nebraska, I have some multifamily out there, great boots on the ground with my partners out there. I've done a couple, working on a couple right now, fix and flips here in SoCal, and then have some buy and holds back home. I'm from Louisiana area, so. Okay.
And then I do have a question with California. So a lot of people have been resistant right now.
Yes.
Resistant right now about purchasing in California. A couple of reasons. I think the main, the landlord, not landlord friendly or tenant friendly.
Yeah.
Also the prices with, some are using the DSCR loans, harder to get, that cash flow right away. So have you purchased in California in maybe the past 2 years? Have you still been investing in California?
Yes, still have been investing in California.
Yeah.
So there, in terms of market, right, there's appreciation markets and cash flow markets. California is a high appreciation market, right? Similar to New York's, maybe South Beach, Florida, markets like that, where you can get $100,000 in appreciation within, a year or so or two. One of my properties appreciated $100,000 within less than 12 months in California, right? So you have to with those different type of markets, you have to take different approaches to investing in them as well. So for California, because it's a high entry point, $1 million average price of a house, because it's so high to get in, you have to buy at a discount. It's that much more important. Yep. And then once you're operating it, if it's a buy and hold, for example, you have to strategically create income that much more. So for my properties, I do a lot of midterm rentals and I do co-living spaces. So instead of me, if I just bought a house, a single family house, and rented it out, it wouldn't cash flow, and it wouldn't really make sense, especially in today's market with the higher interest rates. But I'm able to get double what my rent would be by doing co-living and midterm rentals.
So would that
you have to be creative on the
Would
income.
that be like where you rent out each individual?
Yes, each room.
Yeah,
So each room
room.
is rented out, and it's typically a 6 month, maybe shorter, maybe a little bit longer.
Like a year? No, you don't do
Typically less than a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the rental term.
And I feel like that's a lot of California.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people will, like, as long as it's nice, like, stay for years. So is that, like, do you want them to stay longer, right? Or do you just
I leave it up to them. So the whole point of investing is providing a solution to someone's problem, right? That's, just business and 101. California, because it's a high cost of living area.
Yeah.
Rent can easily be $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, right?
I know.
So
even for a room.
Even for a room.
If you're by the I know.
Exactly.
I know. Even like seriously, if you're by the beach, I mean, or something, you could I do know people that are still like maybe it's a big room and might be location. Or the house just might be super nice, or they might have their own space or something, or like private bathroom. But I've absolutely seen like 2,000 or, over for just a room, like not even the house.
Right.
But I feel like if it's that, like you need to make sure that who you're living with too is because you are going to be living with probably more people just like you that are also just renting a space,
transitioning different phases of life. So and as a tenant, you definitely want to be aware of that. As a investor or a landlord, you're providing a solution to that problem because it costs $3,000 plus, right? So hey, instead of paying $3,000 to rent out this studio, you can just pay $1,500 to rent out the room. Get the same amenities. You live in a house, so you don't have to worry about an apartment, and you're paying half the cost. It's a win from the tenant side and a win from the investor or landlord side. So that's really all it comes down to.
But ultimately, I hear what you're saying with a lot of people that are still investing in California. They are more like experienced investors that maybe losing, they might be losing a little bit, even, taking a little bit of a loss up front, but ultimately their minds are on that long-term
for sure.
gain.
For sure.
And then would you say, I have heard of this strategy before. So you invest in California, maybe taking a little bit of loss or, what have you. Would you then go get like a cash flowing property that maybe is a lot cheaper in another state? Is that kind of like the same type of strategy that you have?
Yes. So you definitely, I like to have that balance, appreciation markets and cash flow markets.
Yeah.
I don't, even in appreciation markets, I'm not buying anything if it doesn't cash flow. So, I don't.
Yep.
I don't invest to take losses. I mean, some people do. They don't mind the temporary loss because they'll get appreciation. For me, one of the main requirements is it has to cash flow. Even in a non-cash flowing market like California, you got to be creative and think of ways to make it cash flow.
To make it one.
Right, which is where the co-living, midterm rentals, and short-term rentals, things like that come into play.
Would that be more, is that the same thing as a pad split?
It's very the same.
I've heard of like pad splits, but in like Florida. Yeah. So kind of like the same idea.
Same concept.
Do you have any Airbnbs?
I do not personally have any Airbnbs, but I do partner and work with a lot of other investors that's their focus. And it's Airbnb and short-term rentals out in Texas and also in California.
Is there a particular reason that kind of steered you away from Airbnbs?
It's so short-term rentals is a great cash flowing strategy.
Yep.
However, it's a lot more of your time and activity that you have to be involved in the property, right? Yeah. Or unless you want to get a short-term rental property manager.
Yes.
So, for me, I want to have the most amount of income I can produce while still having the least amount of time and effort to put into the property. So that's where, the midterm rentals
the dream
is
job
that
right
balance.
there.
Right. Exactly.
Don't we all? Me
Exactly.
too. I know. Like, I want to get the most amount of money
With the least amount of effort.
with the least amount of effort.
Exactly.
Basically, yes. I feel like we can all agree with you there.
Yes.
And so, like, with your background, so you're definitely like super knowledgeable, help, like mentoring. I mean, even being an engineer, model, like the resume goes on and on. And how has, like with the engineering, how has that kind of really participated in your success, like with the real estate? Did that kind of, do you think, accelerate you a little bit, or any of the other things that you have done?
Yes, the engineering definitely helped, just from an underwriting standpoint, right? Analyzing deals, being good with numbers, whipping out an Excel spreadsheet calculator, right? Which most people, they'll see 30 columns and 30 rows on an Excel spreadsheet, and they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Whereas, myself, I'm clicking into the cells. I'm looking at what formula is being used, how they calculating and underwriting different deals. So that certainly helps a lot on the underwriting and making sure the deal is truly a great deal. What type of assumptions and stipulations is put into the calculations. So that has helped a lot within real estate to make sure you avoid bad deals, right? Because a bad deal is a lot worse than no deal. People think, oh, I want to just get started. I want to just, move and make progress. But a lot of times, not getting into a bad deal is a whole lot better than just going into that bad deal, right? So you don't want to lose. I would much rather, Warren, I would just listen to an audiobook about Warren Buffett. What's Warren Buffett's number one rule of investing? Don't lose money.
Don't lose money.
And rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1.
Yeah.
So, that same concept applies within real estate. We want to be cautious and make sure we're not just getting in any deal, especially if it's a bad deal.
100%. And that has to be very useful. Like, as an investor, I've seen some, like, we went over like an analysis, and most of it is like numbers or, but if you don't know how to read these, they were able, I gave them like one sheet of paper that somebody had, 2 other guys have sent me, and I'm like, hey, if you're interested in this deal, like, why don't you take a look at it? And maybe like invest with them. And he came back, and what he got from that one sheet of paper was like literally phenomenal. I was like, how did you, I didn't even see that many words on there. But he was able to okay, there's going to be X amount of cost because of this number here, this is going to cost so much more later because of this little vacancy number here, or so
vacancy rate,
it's like an art,
rate,
right?
Yeah, there's a lot of different numbers and rates and ratios involved in the underwriting side of it.
You can see, right? You already see the damage, and it's I feel like that's with anything, that's what's going to make you that master, that expert, but it definitely helps. If you're a newer investor, to be partnered with someone
has experience.
Experience. I think that's super crucial because they are probably going to probably save you a lot of money and time, but because if you read the deal wrong, because I'm saying, when he came up with that one sheet of paper, I took a whole thing of notes and had him kind of walk me through it so I can kind of understand. But it really is an art, and I hope when you're teaching your new athletes coming in, just how important it is to have you, they're already accelerating and making money.
Yes.
Because I feel when they try to go or when we go out there and do it on our own,
that's the worst mistake.
A lot later.
That's definitely,
that's what I've been hearing more and more.
And one thing about me, everything I've ever done in life, I've always had a mentor, always had a coach, always had some type of instructor because, at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
And when someone that has been there, done that, is showing you the way, it makes it that much easier. You can grow that much quicker and get the results that much more efficient, right? And that's, I'm all about how can we make this efficient? How can we systematize this? Like I said before, get the most amount of the most amount with the least amount of effort.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I feel like it's just and we're getting it more and more, and especially with all the tools and everything today, you really should be working, smarter, not harder. Like,
absolutely.
Like AI, it's out there. Like, start utilizing it. I mean, even as an investor, you utilize it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And absolutely. Somebody had just mentioned, I think it was the CEO of like a lender. I think it was Matt Ishbia.
Okay.
But he's like, like to realtors or loan officers, like you're not going to lose your job to an AI. You're going to lose it to another realtor loan officer that's using it.
Yes, that part.
He's like, don't, because they're like, AI is going to take over. No, it's not. Like, it's just a tool. But if you're not utilizing, so definitely, I feel like that's definitely been hyped lately. Thankfully, I agree. I'm trying to, do a little less, make a little more, but also have that open schedule, like you said before.
Yes.
So when you were an engineer, you didn't get, more, it was not 9 to 5, right?
Yes, 9 to 5 corporate job. Now, it's crazy since I retired from the engineering, I have traveled to more places in the past year than I have pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
It's every month, every couple of weeks going somewhere else. So
but you still kind of get to choose or like which deals or what area.
Yeah, yes. Always.
So it's still like if they were kind of sending you everywhere, I feel like it would still be a little different if a corporate, imagine traveling like for a corporate. Like I feel like that would be a whole other level of like traveling.
Yeah.
Because you're just they're not really worried about your time, I feel like. They're just like booking flights, like you're on a red eye and then you're here.
Right. You got to go where the job's
like 1 hour in between, like someone's like just booking everything for you, not thinking of the time that you need like for you.
For your actual self.
For you to actually get prepped.
But now I have that flexibility, right?
Yes.
So I'm able to go travel, have business trips, whereas, when I was working a 9 to 5, it was more of, I request time off and, PTO and all this other stuff, right? So a lot of times I wasn't able to travel, right, when I had that corporate job. So the flexibility and the freedom and opportunity now is that much more rewarding, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like, it's a whole other world. And it's just like, I just switched from W-2 to self-employed 1 year ago or a little over
Congrats
a year
on
ago.
that.
But then like kind of built up my little community.
There we go.
And
Yep.
So it's definitely, it doesn't feel like work.
Yes.
I'm building relationships and among other things like that, or even like events, it's all part of it. But
right.
So bringing 2 events, this is actually where I met Alvin. So I did kind of want to touch base. He did go over his story, and I want to get into, the mindset and just all the learning you have mentioned. I think his book list is like 150. Mine was 90. So we definitely share this obsession. So even the first time I met him, you gave me Buy Back Your Time.
Yes.
I actually started it the next day and loved that one.
Mm-hmm.
That one was like right up my alley, and just I always try to take one thing from each book, but his hand grenade thing was thought that was like I use that in my personal life, like already implemented. And then so we'll kind of go over some best practices and just kind of get that how did you, through all of the other activities that you've done, I feel like you kind of stayed in a lot of different things, or kind of tried them, but gave it a right amount of time before you like transition. So it wasn't just like
one and
like,
done.
No.
Deal,
Like
right.
it seems like hearing your story that you did kind of go through the motions and see, you know, which one would ultimately fit your life best. But going through the transition, especially from like NFL to like, okay, now I'm done. You know, what do I do next? How did that journey start with, you know, in the mindset? Like, how did you kind of pick yourself back up and you know, keep going forward?
Keep pushing. So I always say mindset, your mindset is foundational. Just, you know, the amount of wealth you have, the circle you have, you know, how do you live your life, your habits, your priorities. It all stems back to your mindset. So for me, even in the talk that you came to, I mentioned that your self-belief is your potential. So you're never going to outlive or do better than what you envision yourself already doing in your head, right? So if I think to myself, oh well, there's no way, you know, I could become a millionaire. That's impossible. Yeah. Well, you best believe you're 100% correct. You're not going to be one, right? Versus someone else that's saying, oh, well, I'm destined to be great. I'm destined to have, you know, abundance and everything I could ever imagine. As long as they keep at it, they're going to make that happen too. So I'm always believing in myself, no matter what I'm doing. I wasn't great starting out football in high school. You know, as I was on the JV team as a sophomore, and you know, still wasn't even starting, right? And then my junior year, senior year, had some success, ended up getting a scholarship. So I just kept at it, right? I just putting in the work, putting in the time. Discipline, I would say discipline is foundational for me. You know, I never really was the smartest, the strongest, the fastest, the quickest, or anything. But, you know, one thing about me, I'm always keep at it. Yeah. And, you know, maybe you may not win the first time, you may not win the 5th, the 10th, the 100th time, but the 101 time is when you get that breakthrough. Yep. And, you know, I'm the type of guy where when it clicks and when the floodgates open, it overflows. Yeah. Right. So, you know, that's kind of what happened with football. End up having a lot of success in high school, college, and making it to the professional. With engineering, getting an advanced degree and working in top secret, you know, on top secret type of jobs and equipment. And the same thing with real estate. You know, I've done a couple flips, a couple syndications, but I'm just getting started in my real estate journey. So, you know, that mindset is very foundational and huge to get over that initial hump. Yeah. Because that's where a lot of people quit at, right? And never get to see the fruits of the labor on the back end.
Well, definitely, because it's something that you have to remind yourself too every single day. Like some days you wake up great. It's like maybe day, you know, 200 and you still haven't gotten paid and you still have to, you know, or maybe you just lost a payment, you know, maybe it fell through. So then now you still have to, and I feel like that's where the real success is. Like that first time or when you can pull yourself up day and like frustrated and all or upset or whatever it may be. And then to still be able to keep going.
And I learned this concept in sports, right? Because the average football play is, you know, a handful, 5, 6, 7 seconds. And then we right back to the next play. Yeah. So, you know, in life, a lot of times things won't work out. A lot of times a deal will fall through, as you mentioned, or, you know, maybe you missed the opportunity, or, you know, maybe you made a bonehead decision, like you knew better than that. And that's okay. But understand, you know, we all have feelings. It's okay to have those feelings. Give yourself 10 seconds to, you know, scream, yell, go run around the parking lot, you know, whatever you got to do.
Whatever you have to do. Whatever
you got to do to just release that moment and that frustration. Yes. And then you got to get back to work, because, you know, the last thing you want to do is have a prior bonehead decision affect a new opportunity.
Yep.
You know, and now you're setting, now it's hurting yourself from
the
your current self, right?
Yeah.
From what you previously did. You know, and I always say love yourself. And what that means to me is that I'm always doing current things that my future self will appreciate me for. And you know, a lot of people they can't think they don't think too far in the head, right? They only looking at what they're going to do today. Whereas, you know, I'm talking about my grandkids, and I don't even have a kid yet.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I'm just visualizing generations ahead of time, so that my current self now, I will make sure I put myself in position to where even my grandkids will be thankful.
Yep. And that's more, again, that's like the long-term, or sacrificing the short-term gratification for the long-term gratification.
Long-term benefits for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's funny that you say that, because I have picked up a skill, especially going from like W-2 to like self-employed. You are definitely that first year. I mean, there's going to be a lot of obstacles.
Right. You figured it out.
You know, you figure it out, you get through it. But I've definitely I've picked up like a lot of, you know, new things. But yeah, like if anything happens, I am to a point now, and I've been on a journey with him for like 2 years. But I am to a point now I could like write it out, and let it go.
Yes.
Within minutes. Like, I'm angry because of this, like I'm upset, and then why I'm grateful. And I can
feel better.
I do.
You feel better.
Absolutely. And it's something that, like, you know, it takes practice, and I do it. But now, I mean, even I had an injury right before a marathon, and after that, like, that's when it clicked for me. Like, wow, okay, if I could do that in this moment, like pretty much in any moment.
Absolutely.
And I feel like people just have to, you know, keep at it and try to find that. Like what's going to get you there, because absolutely you're going to need that.
Yeah.
And then what are your main, like, do you work out every day? Do you journal, meditation? I know you do a lot of the audiobooks. Do you kind of do those throughout the day while you're walking, or how does that kind of look?
Yeah. So my routine, I do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
when it comes when it comes to just my mental health.
Yeah.
So I think I might have mentioned at the speech the 5 P's for me is peace, purpose, passion, power, and prosperity.
That. Wow.
Peace, purpose, passion, power, and prosperity.
I love
the
that.
first thing is peace, right?
Yep.
No matter what is going on, you got to have peace with yourself, and I highly value that. Work out at least 4 to 5 times a day, even if it's a late night shift. You know, you're working out at 11 o'clock. I got to get something in just to you know, get my physical, mental self in that mode to release. It's funny because just yesterday I was working out late, and they had a guy in there sleeping on the machine. I'm like, okay, my man here, he get an A for showing up though.
Yeah.
And
did you wake him up?
Well, he eventually woke up. But I appreciated that because 50 to 60, 70, 80% of people they're not even showing up. They're not even showing up, right? So, and that's half the battle. Just putting yourself in position to win. So that's one thing. Definitely work out at least 4 or 5 times a week. Audiobooks. I'm really huge on audiobooks. I love audiobooks. So the past 2 years, I read 1 book a month was my goal, and I transitioned this year to just go. Before I was just reading the physical book, but this year I'm 100% audiobook, and
like 4, huh?
And
4 a month.
Yes,
4 or
I'm
5?
like instantly. I'm
3 or 4.
Like just 6 months into the year.
Yeah.
I've read at least 25 plus books, like just going through all of them.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and it helps just because you could do it when you're driving, right?
Exactly.
Or you're cooking.
Anywhere.
Like it's very hard to sit down and read a book for 4, 5, 6 hours. Like,
and you can't get that many like some
physical copies of it. Mm-hmm.
And just to concentrate, especially after a long day. So I do mine when I walk.
Nice.
Like every morning after the gym, because I need the music. I've tried with the book. I could run with my audiobook, but I can't lift.
Work out, yeah.
Like I can't hit legs listening. I tried it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna give myself. I'm just gonna give myself this. I was like, you can absolutely. When I do that, I do music, but then every time when I'm done, I go walk at least like a mile and a half, and get some type of audio. So like learning in the morning, get that mind right.
Yes. Yeah, that's
yeah,
huge.
we definitely share this obsession.
Yes, that's
I
huge.
had 90 titles and he sent me like 150. But that one was really good, the one that you sent me. I was like,
Dan
wow.
Martell was a good
I know.
one.
I'm going to have to dip in your list again because that one was like perfect for me.
Yeah,
and when they, I think it was Dan Martell.
Yes.
He has the podcast in the middle. Those are the best. Like you can't get that from a book.
Yes.
You can't get that. They're giving you more like homey kind of explanation.
Right.
After you listen to the chapter.
Yeah, so it's like an author feedback, right?
Yeah.
To tell you what was going on and more
Like,
information.
What was going on in their mind when they wrote it? Like it's like incredible.
Yeah.
So way better than a book.
Way better than a book. So I highly recommend that. And then also I do at least yoga, stretching, something like that every night as well, just to relax, stretch out the body, mind, and all that good stuff.
Any meditation or anything, or like manifest?
Yes, definitely meditation. So I kind of like my yoga meditation. I kind of do a little
together.
bit. Yeah, kind of do it simultaneously.
Okay, because I asked that because whenever I see a speaker, like I always try to take, like at least like one nugget. And for you, when you were speaking, like I was just kind of sitting there because I agreed like pretty much everything what he was saying, especially like we definitely share that like that growth. Like I'm just going to read everything if I want to learn it. So but there was something that I took with me. So a little story, like I've been on this journey within for like 2.5 years, and I meditate a lot, and I go through. In that week of when I met you, I was kind of like, I needed a new verbiage or something. Like I didn't really feel the connection with like trying to in this process that like I'm leveling up. But the way that you talked about abundance, when I left there, like I've been doing it. So it's been 1 month and I pretty much have like changed this verbiage. So I wonder kind of, I'm going to ask like, kind of what's behind that. But you say like that I live in abundance and I live like everything that you would talk about. So I think I was kind of stuck on like I am or like I am living my biggest dreams it's just not the same. I feel like in my mind it was still like, no, it's still like Delulu. Like, no, you're not, not yet. Like you're getting there. But
trying to pull you back.
But when, so like, even when I left there, it was like 15-minute drive home. And I'm like putting that with like everything. Like I live in abundance. Like I live in love. I live in like wealth,
Yes.
And I think it really changes that. And I've been doing it still to this day. So that is the end of my meditations. Like that's kind of where I end up. So after when I've kind of said everything or, that I'm going to say, that's been where I've been ending up and like in that lived state.
Yes.
And I have seen such a huge difference. And I feel like it's so powerful. It's like creates this almost like the essence of the state that I'm in rather than like, oh, I am living my biggest dreams. Cause that's still kind of like a reality thing. So I may have put a lot of power into this, but did you have, it was like, how did you find that state? Was it like, or did you not really realize, like, I might be adding a lot, like it was huge for me. So how did you kind of stumble into that?
So, again, books, another thing I always say is their power in proximity.
Yep.
So, the people you hang around, what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're thinking.
Yeah.
So it has a spiritual and a scientific connection. The most powerful words in the universe are I am.
Yeah.
So the words I am is the most powerful words that you can put together. And then whatever you follow that with will become your reality. Because a lot of people, they say, oh, I'm not good enough for that, or oh, I can't afford that. Well, then guess what? You won't be good enough for it, and you won't afford it.
Yeah.
But then vice versa, saying that, okay, it's not a matter of, well, I can't afford it. I'm just going to figure out how can I, or I'm not worthy of that. I am saying I am worthy of it.
Yeah.
You're from in spiritual, that's powers. There's power in the tongue.
Yep.
From a scientific standpoint, our subconscious mind, whatever we speak, the world is made up of all vibrations. So we're going to hear what we say, and our subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between a joke or a reality. All it hears is us just saying what we're saying, right? So I never talk down on myself. I never giving myself excuses or saying I can't do something because I just haven't thought of a way to do it yet. That's that slight change in understanding opens up opportunity, opens up your brain to start thinking, and it also opens up blessings to fall over your life. So when people ask me how I'm doing, I always say I'm blessed and highly favored because I truly am.
Yeah.
I have, for one, I'm alive. I have ability. I have family. I'm healthy. We're here doing this podcast, right? So,
grateful energy all over the place.
All of this is a blessing. You know what I'm saying? So
I felt it immediately.
Anyone that is in this type of environment or have these abilities and situations for themselves and does not think that they're blessed, you're just blindfolded, and that's just the reality of it. Like when you get covered up, you don't know what's going on in front of you. So you got to take those spiritual blinders off and acknowledge all the blessings all around you.
Everything already in. Yeah, I just think that was so, that I definitely took with me, that whole part of it to just the way that, and it was just like done with conviction. Like he's, he's like, I live in abundance. I live in blessings, and I feel like that's just so much more powerful. I know that I am is supposed to be, kind of like the most powerful, but really when you look at these chakras, kind of like on it's the lowest. So, I've changed that verbiage, but I think that all around, and I could tell from your vibe, and I'm sure the audience can see it too, that you do live in these blessings, like in the moment and the abundance that's around you. So. Oh
yeah. You got to speak it over your life, because I don't want to get too spiritual here.
I love it.
But we as, spiritual beings in a physical body, even as the world and was created, and man creating this microphone or this chair, this table, right? All of these things, you have to think every single thing that ever existed was first a thought. This microphone didn't always exist. Mm-hmm. These clothes or this table, all this stuff didn't always exist, right? So somebody had to think it, and they had to command that thought to become a reality. So understand that we all have that same power. We all have that same creation ability. So whatever I'm speaking creation over my life. I'm speaking my future into existence. So why would I not want a better future?
100%. I feel like everything you just said came directly out of an audiobook that I listened to today. But I think
was it mine?
No, I think it was success and affirmations.
Success and affirmations.
Success and affirmations. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he kind of said that first part. Have you listened to that one?
I don't think I've.
Okay.
I don't think I've
I'm
heard
not
that
sure.
one.
I can't. It's not like someone who's like trending right now or anything.
Okay.
I found it on like the Audible.
Nice.
And like just amazing all over the way that you have kind of, gone through different experiences, keeping that mindset, and now like mentoring the future investors coming up, like truly amazing. So tons of people are going to learn so much from you, and just your energy alone, has been amazing. Like they could feel the vibe. Like I said, when I first met him, I was like, this is my people.
Represent. You gotta represent.
Like no hating going on. Like, look, we're growing from here. Like we're climbing up. Let's climb together.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's so important to, especially when you're building, like make sure that you're, running alongside or with people that have that as well.
That's huge.
And then you're never, even if you fall, even if you stumble, like they're either going to help you up, tell you how to get up,
Right.
And it's you're never
out for the count. Never out for the count.
100%. So we are going to kind of like maybe final question here, or just your advice to, or maybe even since you do currently mentor, what's your best advice to the future, these potential investors? Maybe they haven't invested yet. Maybe they're a little held back.
Mm-hmm. So it's life is always a two-step process. Everything about life is a two-step process. I know a lot of people try to make it complicated, try to add all these different things, but it's really only two steps, like just two.
Tell me.
I'm dying to hear.
Tell me.
Step one is make the plan. Step two is to work the plan. That's it.
And it's that simple.
It's that simple. Oh.
I know.
Make the plan, work the plan. No matter what it is, you got to have a target and some type of end goal of where you're trying to go at, and some type of purpose that you're trying to reach towards, right? And then once you have that in place, then it's working the plan. Understanding yourself, understanding your environment, people around you, getting around the right people to help achieve. They having similar goals, so we're all traveling the same direction. It's a lot easier to go together than to go alone. So once you have those two things in place, then just keep doing that. You're just repeating those. Everything in life is one of those two things. Setting a plan or working a plan.
That is amazing. And like 100%. I feel, even when I first started, I feel like that's one of the biggest holdbacks of a lot of people. It's like they actually just have not written it down, or I call it building the roadmap.
Yeah.
But once you because you have to take that inventory first. And I feel like that's hard.
Self-reflection.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because in order to build the map first, you have to, and I did it, like it's brutal, but you have to take that inventory or that audit of your life. What are the liabilities and the assets? That's habits and people.
Yep.
So sometimes if you got those toxic people, like cut, like,
no people liabilities
like,
either.
yeah, you got to cross it out. Like if they're not looking to move forward or grow with you. But
absolutely.
Absolutely, Alvin. This has been amazing. I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. Everyone that wants to know more about Alvin and his story, or to maybe mentor with him, I'm going to have all of his information below. Feel free to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.